When I first started DJing and playing house music, it was 1988, and almost no one was interested. And obviously the last 15 or 16 years, it's been up and down and up and down. You had the rave scene dying and the rave scene growing, and so it's kind of amazing that, you know, it's still going on and that people are really coming out and it's so strong as it is.
I think the world of electronic music, essentially it's such a tightly knit community of people that most people know each other. Most people, producers and DJs, are aware of other people's works, and they're so into that groove. I don't think that they can even conceptualize mainstream music.
I think most underground music that's very good becomes overground really quickly anyway.
Like in the old days, if you're a Japanese electronic musician, to get someone in London to hear your music was a really arduous process. And now, if you're a Japanese DJ or producer, you can make a song, put it on the internet, 10 seconds later, everyone else in the rest of the world has access to it. So it's that one word and that one concept of just like access to the means of production and to the music itself that I find really exciting.
Sort of a vibe starts in London and Europe, and then it comes over, and then sometimes, like the whole thing in New York with the Rapture and LCD and those bands and Interpol, that sort of, you know, it's like when we started making, when I was making records in the 80s, and I was trying to make records that sounded as good as the English records. Now, a lot of the English guys were trying to make records as good as our records, so it was sort of very, you know, there was a cycle always going on.
When I first started going out to clubs in New York in the early 80s, there wasn't a huge distinction between dance and rock. And then there was the longest period where you had these two camps. You had the dance camp and the rock camp, and they had nothing to do with each other. And now it's really nice that things are kind of going back together with things like, you know, Franz Ferdinand and the Rapture and the Bravery and the Killers and the Faint. I mean, like, I think it's a really healthy time where you have a lot of rock bands who are experimenting with dance music and a lot of dance musicians who are experimenting with rock music. So it's so nice and hybridized at this point. After September 11th, I thought there was just going to be this huge exodus from New York City. And it's been great that actually, you know, in the time after September 11th, it's been almost like this musical renaissance in New York City.
Radio 4, the name comes from a Public Image Limited song off their second record, and we're very influenced by them. The idea of combining punk rock, dance music, reggae together, like they're kind of what they set out to do is similar to what we were trying to do, so we were inspired by them. People were scared of dance music for a long time, like rock kids, like, oh, we're not supposed to go there. But I think, you know, now you kind of see some of these bands that are combining those things, and it's a physical performance, like there's an exchange between the audience and the performers, like people are moving and kind of bring something together rather than just people on stage and then there's the audience. It makes, I think punk rock kids or whatever got jealous that all the club kids were having so much fun when they went out, and all the rock kids were just sitting around like bored and stuff. It's like, hey, look at, they're all having a good time, you know? Because I was into, like, you know, a lot of punk rock, like hardcore punk rock when I was younger, and I always used to, you know, you'd see kids coming home, you take the train, you know, from the suburbs, and you see the kids coming home from the clubs. I was always like, you know, these guys are having a great time, man, just going and going. Or you'd wake up the next day at noon and they'd be coming home, and you'd be like, wow, you know, and you were home at like 11 or something. So I always thought that club kids were having a better time. Yeah, with Gang of Four, I think, you know, and a lot of post-punk bands, like, they kind of made a record or two and got signed to major labels, and seemed like once people realized they weren't commercial or accessible enough, they were quickly dropped and their careers kind of ended. And I think that post-punk and the music that they made is definitely an idea that has yet to be finished, and I think newer bands like us and maybe, you know, LCD Sounds, I don't want to speak for anybody, but it seems to be that they're influenced by this kind of music, and that band in particular, and maybe taking what they did and trying to take it to the next level and stuff like that. And something like Block Party or something, I could hear bits of it in there too. And it's, I think it's important. It's kind of a period of music that was very short. It was like 78 to 80, and then it was kind of done. And I think there's a lot there to kind of take somewhere.